Welcome to the platform planning. I can't even talk workshop. This is also being recorded for the Promote, Profit, Publish podcast. So welcome to all those people who are listening to the podcast. I know you're getting it a little bit late. For those of you who are listening on podcast, I really encourage you to go over to YouTube because this is going to be a full workshop. And we will also have forms that you can download. If you're listening in that capacity, go over to platformplanning.com and I will have the forms over there for you to opt in and grab. So, even though this will be a little bit later because you're not here in person, you will still have the capacity to be able to plan and do this yourself. So welcome everybody. Before we get started, because this might run a little bit long, I want to tell you next month, the free training is Gina Husser, and it's going to be on branding. Gina Husser has done my branding. She is amazing. She's worked for more bigger companies than I have doing the branding, and she's done a little bit of works for other publishing companies, so she completely understands everything about the publishing world. So you can sign up for that. If you would please wait until Monday because I've got to change who's there. You can sign up for that at bamagtraining.com and we'll get you on the list. And then also in December, we are having a book development plan panel. I think Chris Johnson is on here helping me today. But you can sign up for that at bookdevelopmentexperts.com. And it's going to be a panel where you can find out about what's really going on in the publishing world. What do you need to know about book development? What do you need to know about publishing? We're going to have not only Chris Johnson, but Ali B. And my favorite French book developer, who's actually an American who went to France and never came back, Jessica Anderson, who is amazing as well. So if you guys want to get signed up for those, we'd love to have you. If you have friends that are in the book development stage, get them over there because the book world is not what you think it is. And many people don't understand the insides. Linda's shaking her head. She knows. So we definitely want to make sure that you have an understanding and the correct expectations going in, because that's where people get really disappointed is they don't have the right expectations about it. So is everybody ready to go? Does everybody have all of their stuff downloaded? Ready to get on board here? For those of you who just jumped on, because a bunch of you just did at the last minute, the package to download the materials is in the chat. So let me get going here with, gosh, I seem to be able to do nothing here today. You would think it was a Monday. Hold on. Get the slide deck from the beginning. Okay. All right. Everybody ready? And if you're new to this, feel free to ask questions because that's what we're here for. This is not your normal, I'm going to train you and then try to sell you something. This is a true training and I want you to ask questions so you really know what's going on. Fair enough. Everybody can say yes to that. Okay, don't be shy. So getting into this is platform planning, not just for authors, but if you're a coach or a speaker and there's something big that you want to do next year, this is how you get it done. Of course, my keyboard's not going to work. So I want to start with your impact in what you're trying to do in the publishing world depends on your platform build. Every traditional publisher, and I can tell you a big story about this week. We had someone who came and asked us to write a proposal, and when we went into the audience, she balked. She thinks that her book and what she's doing is absolutely amazing, which I'm sure it is, but she thinks that she can get the deal without the audience, and it just doesn't happen. The literary agent we sent her to is kind of in a quandary because she said, yeah, this is really great what she's doing, but I need those numbers to get a deal. So you have to have, if you want a traditional contract, at least 100,000 plus followers. So think about that. And if you're in the hybrid space as well, which is more where I'm at, you still need numbers because you have to have an audience to sell books to. There are over 100,000 books a month that go up on Amazon. So if you think that you're going to cut through that noise just by, hey, buy my book, you're sorely mistaken. And I hate to be the truth teller on this. You also need it for the bestseller campaigns. If you want to push that book to number one, You have to get your own audience engaged. If you're traditionally published, they're not going to do it for you anymore. They just don't do those things. So, in fact, one of the tour companies we use are the former Simon and Schuster tour bookers, and the reason they're the former is because Simon and Schuster doesn't do that for their people anymore. So, you have
Juliet,
to,
I
yeah,
have a question. When you
uh-huh.
talk about 100,000 plus followers, are you talking about an email? Are you talking about followers on LinkedIn,
Great,
Twitter? How are they
great
counted?
Great question. So when I put the numbers together for the literary agent this week, it was all social media, email lists. We also looked at articles that you've published or had published, and have you spoken at any big prestigious events? So we want to throw everything in there, showing them that you have been out, you have been building, and you've earned this influence that you have. So that's what we're looking at. And I'm going to tell you something. They look very closely at the numbers because I don't know if you guys know, a couple of years ago, the Fiverr scandal, you could actually go over and buy followers for YouTube. You could buy followers for different platforms. And they also look at the open rate inside of your email list. So you may have purchased or done something that got you 100,000 followers, but I actually talked to someone a couple of years ago who told me they had 120,000 people in their email list, but only about 10,000 of them opened. So that is definitely a list that is worthy of being cleaned up. Now, with that, I'm going to share with you an author who started at the same time I did, and she had a brilliant way that she built her list. And she worked her way up to the USA Today bestseller list and then on to the New York Times bestseller list. What she did was she had extra books that she gave away as free. She would go through about every 3 months. And if you hadn't opened, she'd send out an email that says, if you don't open, I'm deleting you. You're welcome to come back at some point. And she got herself a very clean list of 25,000 people. And that's how she got on those bestseller lists, because those people were engaged, they were opening. And so keep that in mind as well. Your list, I give my list a scrub about once a year. Same with my calendar too. If I haven't heard from you again, I'm deleting you. So keep all that in mind. Now, where the real money is here is using that book to sell those high ticket products and services. And what I mean by that is that book is a nurture tool. If I give you a choice today and I say, Carol, would you like to buy my $30 book, or would you like to buy my $5,000 program? And Carol doesn't really know me. What do you think Carol's going to do? So that book is that nurture tool, because more than likely, almost everybody on this call, other people do exactly what you do. And so when they're querying to purchase those big ticket items, it's going to be the personality that resonates. That's why that platform's important, because these people want to get to know you. Are you a hard charger like me where I take action people, or are you a hand holder that, I don't care if you do your homework. I don't care what you get out of this program. So the people that understand who you are and are very like-minded, they're going to hire you in that sea of all the people. So that's why it's so important that you get yourself out there, because you're going to make maybe $2, $3 a book. If you're doing a children's book, you're going to be lucky if you get $1. And so that's where your ROI is on those bigger ticket items that you can lead them with the book. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah, Linda, your question's answered? Yeah, where'd she go? I think it is. Okay. So your audience matters for several reasons. First of all, brand recognition. People need to see your brand. Your brand is more than your logo. It's more than your colors, although they should resonate with the feel of your message. But it matters because I'm going to give you the example I give a lot of people is we had somebody who was the red hot healer. Now, think about that from a standpoint. When you're looking for a healer, does red come to mind? That feels heated. It feels angry. She did it because she's an incredibly beautiful redhead. But at the end of the day, if I'm looking for a healer, I want somebody who's going to soothe me. I want someone like Linda or Amanda who are on the call, who are, very chill people who are going to listen and do all that. So I guess what I'm saying here is she made the brand all about her when it really should have been all about the healing. So also consistent messaging. You'd be shocked how many people bring me a book and they say, I built this list of 1,000 people, but I was doing something else then. So now I'm selling art and I'm doing healing arts, but I used to be a personal trainer. So everybody in my list wants to lift weights. That's not going to work either. So make sure that your audience is consistently built on the same message all the time. And that can be hard for you guys at first because I'll tell you, even I at first had problems with the messaging, which, that's where you need that extra outside help, is because there's nothing harder than developing and like your own bio and your own messaging. You need to bounce it off other people to make sure that it hits on them, because it's not what you think about your business or your book, it's what others, perception is reality. That was our big thing in advertising. Perception is reality. So make sure that other people are perceiving that message the way you want them to. And then generating excitement. We had a person this week who literally we had to let go because she wanted to be the hermit queen, and is sort of that passive aggressive. I want to be famous, but I don't want anybody to know who I am. That doesn't work in today's world. So, and that used to happen. I used to call that the invisible author syndrome. So you really need to be out there. You need to be talking to people, understanding, letting them understand what you do and leave them wanting more, which means you have to communicate and find out what their needs are, not just what you want to teach. Okay, so here are the steps we're going to take today. And I hope you all have those books printed. We're going to identify and create some content. So we're going to talk about what is it that we want to create next year? What did we create this year? How can we translate that into next year? A 6 to 12 month vision. So you guys have those forms that I gave you, and then determine the steps and start laying it out month by month. I'm going to tell you something that I want you guys to think about when you do this is, are you actually going to execute, or are you going to throw it in the drawer next to your desk and never look at it again? One of my good friends told me once that everybody she does a business plan with, they literally do the plan, they have great intentions, they throw it in their drawer and they never look at it again. So be sure when you do this, if you're taking the time to do it, that you actually have plans to execute. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit today too. So the plan. So if you take out your workbook, there is an exercise in it, and I have my notes here. I'm not even following, so perhaps I should be more organized and follow this. In your book, there is an exercise. I believe it's on page 11. So if all of you guys could turn in that workbook to page 11. Hold on, let me get to it. I should have done this before I got here instead of talking to everybody on the call. So what I want you to do with this is I want you to think about, what did you do this year? And some of you can share that as well. What was your big juicy plan for this year? And maybe I'll call on 3 people. Raise your hand. What did you accomplish this year that you were really proud of? Anybody want to share? Really? Nobody wants to share?
I'll share. It's
Okay.
Sandy. Hello, everybody. This year I was surprised by I was rebuilding my life here in the US. I'm Canadian, and I'm a creative, and I'm in yoga and do all the stuff, the creative and the healing arts. And I got surprised by cancer in March, and so I beat stage 4 cancer by like end of July, August. And so it's been quite a year of just surviving, and in the process digesting my life into a book. And so it's been just flowing with that. I don't know if that says anything or adds perspective, but really wanted to find purpose through this pain and just jump into it and just get on with it, after kind of stepping back to survive, but also stepping forward to thrive.
Yeah, thank you, Sandy, for that. And you guys, you don't know this, Sandy's doing her book through us. It's Cancer Ramblings, Why or Why Not?
Mm-hmm.
Which the doctors told her was really an inspirational message, because if you can embrace your healing instead of just being woe is me, there's actually research that shows you are more likely with that positive attitude to have more positive outcomes. So
Mhm.
Sandy, thank you. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Anybody else want to? And before I call on someone else, it's page 7 in your book, not page 11. I apologize. Linda, is your hand still raised from last time? I don't think I took your hand down. Is it?
Linda, you need to unmute.
Thank you all. First of all, I want to say how impressed I am with Sandy's journey. I'm just so impressed. I have to share that with you. For me, I'm on the Talk Radio New York City hosting a radio show. Juliet was contacted by Sam Leibowitz, who's the founder owner. He wanted someone to do a spiritual show. I did a preliminary one with Frank About Health, and then I've had 2 guests on my show, and it's been a very positive, growthful experience.
Yeah. And actually, I'm going to add something to that, Linda. It forced her to get her platform more solid because she realized now she had to capture those people as she had her show. So we developed a couple assets that she could give away, that she could sell to get people more interested in as well. So that's a great accomplishment this year, and it kind of came out of the blue for her. Anybody else? One more person want to share?
Go ahead, Dorothy, unmute.
Okay. I got my book finished in June, and then I also got a course made up and put onto a website, and then I got a umbrella website made up with the book on the website, as well as some more links to the cooking show. I do a cooking show online, which is on YouTube, as well as a membership site on along with the courses that are from the book. So I'm quite happy about that. And there's also a vision boarding workshop, a free vision boarding workshop on that website as well. So now I'm looking for the specific audience to attract to that website.
Yes.
And to the cooking shows, to everything that is related to what ranch women know, and that any woman can do this if, it is possible, and that they're far more capable than they ever dreamed that they would be.
Yeah. Dorothy has been a busy lady this year, and she also has a cookbook in the works. She has all of these, and same thing with your grandmother in Crisco. Everything was written on those little 3x5 cards. So she's taking everything off grandma and other ranch women, that generational recipes that have been there forever, off those little cards. And you can imagine they're faded and they have spaghetti sauce on them and everything else. So, all right. So let's move on to the next thing here. And like I said, if you didn't download the workbook, you can just journal with it. What worked well for you? What really clicked and worked well? And if anybody would like, a couple people would like to share with that, that'd be great too. So what did you embark on that sort of surprised you that it worked better than you thought? You guys just unmute yourself and speak. You don't have to put it in the chat. Nobody had anything that worked well? Okay.
I was just going to say almost everything worked well that I know of. I said it all worked and has come together, I think, really, really well. So.
Okay, very, very good. Anybody else have some? Linda, you actually put out into the universe that you wanted to show and didn't tell anybody, and a show appeared. So if you don't say something worked well, I'm going to be upset.
Yes, I had said it would be so nice to be on radio. And it was just a few days before Juliet texted me, I have an opportunity. Can you speak soon? And my heart started, I don't know, percolating. Creativity was percolating. So I called you and you told me about it. And it was very exciting, especially since I feel that I co-created it.
Yeah, you definitely did. You are a good manifester. Anybody else? One more, something you did well this year?
Yeah, I'd like to share something, Juliet.
Okay.
Yeah, through your coaching that you helped out, I did start off a second TV show, and I did reach out to a bunch of coaches, and we have two of them here. We have Chris and Amanda to start a new TV show, and we're doing monthly magazines and everything. So yeah, the collaboration, putting my vision out there to help people living a chronically healthy life is definitely working great. Collaborating with others to have a similar vision.
Yes, yes. And I think you learned a lot from the AI class and the power partnership. That's what he did is he put together a power partnership TV show circle and everything with the magazine. So power partnership is really, it is a big piece here. Okay, so the next one. What didn't work well? And I want you guys to actually write it down. This is not an opportunity or an invitation to beat yourself up. I have failures. I fail every single day. If you saw what went on here in the background, you'd be like, why did I hire her? No, I'm just kidding. But we all have those things. So write it down. Write down why you didn't think it worked. Because like I said, things get in the way. Maybe it wasn't organized. Maybe you got overwhelmed, which is one of the things we're gonna address today. But like I said, not an invitation to beat yourself up. It's in the past. Like, why do you think it didn't work? And would anybody like to share, or do I have to share all my failures and bore you guys to death? Anyone?
I think that part of my biggest failures was not looking in myself and not following what I knew was right. And I don't think I was really panic pivoting, but I was looking at jumping onto the next bandwagon and all the shiny things and all the things that were supposed to do things. And I left those expectations outside of myself. And so I think that that's where I didn't succeed as much as I could have had I shut out all of the craziness and just followed myself.
Yes, that is a big one, Amanda, because you're basically out of alignment. And you guys, if you don't think when you're out in the public eye that people can see that out of alignment that's going on, you are sorely mistaken. The authenticity is very important and going with your gut here. So, there are people who give you a lot of ideas, and Amanda, it's that thing I said at the beginning with the messaging. Sometimes we do messaging that doesn't work. Sometimes we take advice that doesn't feel good, too. You have to get through the comfort zone. I'm just going to share. Dorothy writes me all the time. I'm so outside of my comfort zone, and I'm not a hand holder. I'm like, oh, keep it up, keep going there. So if she was expecting sympathy, she didn't get it. But you sometimes need that push when you're going, learning something new. And especially with the tech. How many of you like cuss every day with the tech? I'm there. You heard me before the show. No. So exactly. Carol, what's something that you'd like to share? Oh, unmute yourself.
Holding myself back and not setting better boundaries.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
Because I had a lot of dynamics this last year with some kids and yeah, I held myself back for 6 months because of the drama going around me within my one daughter and her family and stuff. And I was like, so I missed the boat, I feel. But on a mother's side, I didn't miss the boat on that. So this catch-22 between the business and the family.
But at the end of the day, which was more important to you?
The kids, yeah.
So you didn't really miss the boat. I think every mother on here would say that. we've all missed opportunities, we've missed things, but at the end of the day, those are your people.
Yes.
And so I'd say that's your niche, but it's more than that. Those are people you can never get rid of, even if you wanted to. Right. Believe me, I have some family members.
And I did want to share the one thing I'm proud of is that we delivered our last grandchild, our 25th grandchild here at the house. Wow. And we've had many, 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 many babies born in this house. but I believe this will be my last grandchild. And that happened last Tuesday. So
Oh, well, congratulations. That's great. Chris, I think you had your hand up, didn't you?
No, I just raised my hand like this and it turned it on.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, so we all have those things that we failed at. And honestly, if you're an entrepreneur and you're not failing anywhere every day, you're not growing. So you just have to look at it that way. One of the things I was also probably not a compassionate mother either, is every time my children would complain, I'd say, you know what, get over yourself, get out there and do it. Like, that you just have to. So all right. So like I said, be kind to yourself. This was not meant to beat you up in any way, but just kind of look at, why did it fail? And I will tell you guys, when I interview you for, let's say you get on my calendar and we're talking, there are questions, and I encourage you guys to do the same. Ask the questions in a way where people have to take on the other side responsibility for what worked and what didn't work. Because if you get someone on a call who complains about this didn't work, and they're not willing to say I didn't show up, or they're blaming the 3 past coaches they've had, you may want to say no to that client, because there's obviously a pattern there. And for me, when someone gets in my circle and they don't thrive, I'm really upset. Even though it's out of my control, if people pay me, I want results for it. So just think of that as well. Okay. So you guys have 3 pieces of paper in there. You have a yearly plan, a quarterly plan, and a monthly plan. So I want you guys to take those out, because I want to explain each of them to you in the context of how we're going to be using them. You know what? Wow. Okay. All right. So, and I also want you to keep in mind here that intentional vision is what you're doing here. When you fly by the seat of your pants, or everything you're doing is hit and miss, you need to refine and get it down to more intentional. And I know I've got some woo-woo people on here. Be specific about what you are manifesting, because if you've ever said, I want that, and like somebody has to die to get it, or somebody has to be injured or disempowered, that's not a very way to go. I know Chris is like, what did you say? But just really serious here. Whatever you do here, you need to replicate. So be very intentional about what your vision is here, because you want the results, not some random result that also can't be replicated. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah? Okay. So I want you to write down, what is your clear and compelling vision on this? So first of all, define your business vision, and then we're going to get into some 4-dimensional vision, and then get known, get paid. And then I want to talk about building in a way to feed your soul, because I personally feel that when you're building something you're not excited about, and it's not positive and feeding your soul, you're going to give up on it. So you have to be able to do this in a way that definitely feeds your soul, and it's something that you want to do. Unless you want to be a devotee of Eat That Frog, and every morning, for those of you, it's a Brian Tracy book, every morning you have to do the thing you hate first. So make sure that you don't have things that you hate first, and everything is feeding your soul, if you can manage that. So I want you guys to share here, defining your vision. What engages your heart, mind, and soul, your spirit? What keeps you excited? And then when you write that down, how does that keep you? What is your why? And how does that keep you connected to it? So think about that as well. And that's where that alignment comes in with Amanda. If you take that shiny object, and I highly recommend that you don't go after the shiny objects, because usually they don't pan out. They really, really don't. So think about that from the standpoint of, what is my why? Why did I do this? And how am I going to keep connected? I know that's probably a little harder than Carol, because she's getting ready to hand off her business to her kids. But, make that part of it. You're handing it off to your kids because it's your legacy. So you want to be in the game to make sure that they thrive the way you did. Okay. And then this also informs you what you need to keep creating. So I'm going to give you just a little background on that. Lately, I've been partnering with a platform called Odem, ODEIM.io. Now we're over there and we're selling our courses, and we have other publishing companies selling our courses, but we've decided to do our lives there as well and get other people interested. And so that really informs me, what do I need to create? We're putting together a webinar for a course we're doing in January. We're going to have the webinar on Odem, so people are now familiar with that course. The course that we're putting out in January is turning your book into a course. So of course, being on Odem is a great place to do it. So planning out that campaign and having the vision, why are we doing this? Why are we promoting this platform? Why are we promoting turning your book into a course? All of that, when you get it all together, kind of puts the plan out there for you. Who are the partners I need to do that? Who are the partners I'm working with? So really think about that in detail in a way that is going to keep you very, very engaged in this process. Okay. Then I want to move on. Does anybody want to share anything there? Like what is your why, and what do you do to keep yourself engaged in it? Is there like one person who really wants to? Andy, did you raise your hand? Oh, you were just waving. Anybody want to share like what? Let me go back to that slide. Anybody want to share like what you do to keep yourself engaged in all this? I can't see everybody over here. Just unmute yourself and answer. I've got too many people here. I can't see.
Dorothy has an answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
What engages my heart and mind is the ranch retreat as well that I have set up to allow people to come and experience ranch life on a ranch, a cattle ranch. And that really lights me up because I love to interact with people and connect with them and teach them that, or coach them that, we're all in this together, and it's just much more fun when we can connect and share information and spiritually, and that we're not in this alone, that we have a higher power helping us. And it's so important to know that and to realize that we're not alone.
Yeah. You almost sound like the aliens are coming for us. No, I'm just kidding
Yeah.
you. No, but what she's doing, you guys, just the ranch retreat she had was really fun. People really enjoyed it. There is a whole segment, a younger generation, probably 30 to 50, who's tired of the city life. Now they're moving to the country. Now they have an acre of land. They don't know how to raise chickens. They don't know how to grow vegetables. They don't know how to be sustainable, if something happens out there in the world. So that's what Dorothy's basically teaching people, is how do you get out there and live on a ranch? Because if you've never been to a ranch, I grew up part-time on one, they go to the store once a month. Like for some of us city people, that's hard to believe. They want a chicken dinner, they go in the backyard and they chop the chicken's head off and pluck it, and there's your dinner. So, people don't realize. I remember one of my kids' friends when we lived in Los Angeles, she had no idea where cows came from, like where hamburger came from. And we just laughed so hard, like, really? Really? So, Dorothy is educating a generation that probably didn't have it as hard as like Carol and some of us older people did growing up. Okay, thank you for sharing that, Dorothy. Okay, so when we're crafting this vision as well for what we want to do next year, I want to talk a little bit about four-dimensional vision crafting. And this is where you start to write down your thoughts. What are those positive thoughts? What are those affirmations you have? What are those words you're using? Are there pictures that you have around your office? I shared in one of our previous workshops that when I was having a hard time niching down, I went down to Santa Monica Pier. There's a caricature guy. I had him draw my niche, my avatar. And my avatar was Kathy, and we took the sketch and we wrote all of the things that Kathy was inside the niche. And that became my guide to get really solid on my niche. So when I would talk to people, I would look at that picture of Kathy, I would listen to them, and then I would decide whether I was going to make an offer or not. Because if they weren't Kathy and they weren't taking responsibility for the things they'd done in the past via, what I helped them with, then they probably weren't my client. So all of those things become really important. What are the words you're using? I got a brand guide from someone this week that actually had, these are the words we don't use to describe our business. These are the words we do use to describe our business. So this is about taking those words and putting them into your vocabulary, but putting them into your staff's vocabulary as well, because remember, they're representing your company as well. What are the pictures and what are the numbers? So all of these things need to be in alignment. You can't be thinking, I can't do this, but I want to make 100,000 a year. I hate my life, but I can't, I can make 100,000. Like all of it's just not in alignment. So how can you take those things and put them into alignment? Does that make sense for everybody? So start incorporating those into what you're doing. Do you want to take a minute and share? Maybe 3 people can share what those words are that they would use that are positive for describing, or those thoughts that you've put together. Dorothy, you do affirmations, I think. What are some of the affirmations you do about your business? Don't you? You use I know. Oh, unmute yourself, sweetie.
Can't think right off the top of my head. Let's see. Words that I use are, I am empowering women to live a life they love living.
Okay. And you do that, even though you put that together. I'm going to share one from a client that's not here today. She wrote an entire book on how she thinks we could come back together as a society and do well for each other. Now, she's not a PhD. She brought a lot of integrated psychology things together to put this together. And her book is coming out actually on the 19th of this month. And she said to me last week, I'm not an expert. I don't think I can do this. I don't think people will listen to me. And we had to flip that and reposition it. And if you look around in the world today, if you're watching the media, the experts are failing us. So we went back at that. The experts are failing us. What if we went back to good principles for good living? Because remember, if you were around, 20 years ago, we had standards, we had lines we didn't cross. We were a civil society. And if you're young, you probably don't realize that, but we actually did, probably back in the 80s and 90s, live in that sort of world. So she's kind of going back to that before the time of the experts. So we really had to reposition it and bring her confidence back, because she kind of did that imposter syndrome thing to herself, which how many of you guys have done it? I know Andy and I have had this conversation about some of the stuff people he's competing with. Don't assume because you don't have a PhD that what you're putting out in the world isn't valuable. Because sometimes your lack of that technical knowledge makes you a better subject to write that book than someone who does. So that's why I said about getting all this into alignment. Obviously, she wasn't going to sell many books if she was afraid to go out there and talk about the premise of the book. And quite frankly, the people we have talked to about it have said, oh my God, that's amazing. I'm so tired of being told by experts who are wrong what to do. So you really have to think about, where you fit into this and how you can craft that message in alignment with what you do that's beneficial. So hopefully.
Juliet, I think Linda has a question.
Oh, Linda, yes.
Make sure you unmute, Linda. Linda, you have to unmute, yeah.
Chris, I love the I am, because when we use I am, we get an electromagnetic charge to our higher self. So I say I am a best-selling author, and I put huge numbers on that. I am a best-selling author, and I pray in various ways to that end.
Very good. I love that. Sandy, do you want to go?
Yes, I was going to say, I love what you said, Juliet, about that story with the imposter syndrome. And I wanted to say, what is an expert anyway? An expert is somebody with experience, in my opinion. Living in the modern day, experience is really the king of all things. And it's like that's what's inspiring and empowering people more than ever. It's the story. And what are we doing now? Sharing the story. And I think through that you become the expert. So that resonated with me. Everything you said sort of inspired me to share that with you guys. And then in respect to like positive words and stuff, for me, sometimes they're a series of chants. So coming out of this cancer year and then writing the book, and I'm not a writer, but just feeling compelled to, and you know, all that stuff that comes in your head. For me, it's a series of chants. What are the repetitions that can really obliterate any walls that may come into my mind about whatever it is on this daunting staircase of life? And so basically one of my chants is to rebuild, 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 rebuild. And then also for fear, I come into love. So love, love, love. And whatever is a repetition can really create a matching steps that propel you forward. So that's what works for me, you know, just, I don't know if that's of any solace for anybody out there, but yeah, I just wanted to share those points.
Well, and Sandy, you and I had a discussion, and I'm going to go back to my own experience here and then get to your discussion about it. How many of you went to college and then you got out and nothing you learned in college related to that first job in the real world? I think pretty much all of us. Trin is on here, my neighbor who is a real estate agent. When I went through real estate school, the only thing I took away was how many feet are in an acre. I mean, that was literally it. That's the only thing I used every day because I sold bigger properties. So, you know, a lot of times being an academic doesn't translate to the real world. The conversation I had with Sandy was Sandy is not a doctor, but she was a cancer patient who went through and learned to flip a really negative thing in her life to something positive. That makes her valuable to those cancer patients and to the families of those cancer patients. Her long-term goals here are some journals, not only for the cancer patients, but for the families. So even though she's not a quote, you know, credentialed expert, she does have a level of expertise and compassion that will help those other people in that. So think about that. And, you know, when you get into your little imposter syndrome, because we all do it, like, is that person better than me? No, they're not. They're just different. So keep that in mind as you're doing this. Okay, so creation tips. I want you guys, I'm not going to give you the 30 minutes, but I want you to just take the time, and maybe you don't do it right now. Maybe you go to a quiet place after the call and write down just 30 minutes, you and a pad of paper, every crazy idea you have that you would like to do, that you would like to put forward. We used to call this in advertising brainstorming. You'd be amazed at some of the award-winning ads we did that happened at 2 o'clock in the morning after lots of tequila, lots of stupidity, and lots of just punchiness. But we put it out there, and then somebody would flip that into, well, what if you did it this way? What if you took that tagline and did this? So I want you to really, like, everything, just brain dump. Or what is that word, Chris Johnson? What is that word you use? Barf. Is it book
But
barf?
word vomit. Word vomit.
There you go.
Or a vomit, make a vomit draft, which
A
is your
vomit
first.
draft. That's what we
Yeah.
call that first of your book, which, by the way, if any of you send me a book that is your vomit draft, you're probably going to get it back vomited on. And the same with Chris. We get a lot of books in here that people haven't had edited, and it's like, yeah, your grandmother, who was an English teacher, probably not the best person to edit this book. Okay, so this is really important when you do this exercise, and we probably won't take the time and have you do it now, but when you do it, make sure you have a pen and a pad of paper, because there is a proven connection between the pen and the brain, or the pencil and the brain. So don't get on your computer and do it with your keyboard. We're not keyboard warrioring. We're actually doing a thoughtful exercise, pen in hand. And then also, when you do this, open your heart and mind. Both have to be open to possibility. Like I said, that 2 o'clock in the morning with lots of tequila, it opened our mind. Probably too much. but you know, open to possibility. Don't come back and go, oh, that's so stupid. I could never do that. Don't judge it. Just write it. Everybody got that? And I'd love for you guys to send those to me, just those ramblings. Like I would love to hear, you know, what those thoughts are before you critique the heck out of them like we all do. Okay. Everybody got that? Everybody promised to do it. Nobody's raising their hand. Okay. All right. So also when you're doing this, decide how you want to feel. So do you want to feel happy? Do you want to feel like it's going to flow with grace and ease? Because one of the things when you're writing it down, if you're feeling tense about something, that's probably an indication that you're not on board with it. It may be you might have to evaluate, is it outside of my comfort zone, or do I just not like doing that? So that's where you need to feel and maybe create some affirmations about it. When I do my journal every morning, I want everything to flow with grace and ease. That's what I ask, because my day goes better when everything happens with grace and ease. Doesn't always happen that way. Before I get on the phone with a client or on the computer, you know, if I'm doing tech, I'm probably cussing. That's not grace and ease, but I guess it's better than throwing things. So moderate appropriately. Okay. So then what changes do you have to make to be in alignment? This is just what Amanda was talking about. Don't assume because you write it down on paper that it's going to happen by itself. More than likely, if you haven't done it in the past, there's a pattern there. So take the time and think about, what is the pattern that's holding me back? What's not serving me that I can let go of that will bring me into alignment and bring me into an action space? That is very, very important. That is exactly what I was talking about. My friend Catherine was talking about the business plan. You put all this energy and effort and then you throw it in a drawer and never look at it again. So what do you have to change to do that? And I think we have people on this call that are a little older, and there are probably things I want you to look at that what has served you to date that's no longer serving you? Because you know, there are things Jackie Nagel always says, what got you here won't get you there. So what is it that got you here that's no longer serving you, that's not going to get you to that next space? And by the way, if you need a business coach, Jackie Nagel is the bomb. So that's a good way to think about that, is what can I let go of that is no longer helping me get to where I want to be? Because those actions matter and you do have to take action. And then you can't just, I always get this formula mixed up. I hope I have it right because I didn't have Chris edit this. You can't just have the attention. The action steps need to make it happen. So that's where we're going to get into with these forms, is what is that big juicy? How can I break it down into quarters? How can I break it into months? And if you need it even more minutely, how can I time block and work on this a half hour a day? Like your platform, half hour a day. If you can commit to that, you will start building a solid platform. Okay. So once you've done that, then I want you to start filling in the gaps. So would somebody share what their big juicy goal is that they're going to write down on there? Does anybody have something that they want to go through that they don't know how to do, that maybe we can help with here? Nobody wants to share? Okay.
I'd like to do a keynote address, and I haven't done it.
Okay. So the outcome is that you want to build is getting your speakership. Wow, am I cussing? Speaker sheet together. I hope that wasn't Freudian. Get your speaker sheet together. Then you need to what? What are the steps that need to be taken? What do you need to learn to build? So you have a speaker sheet, right?
I do actually. And when I started with talk radio, everything else was put aside.
Okay, well, that's okay because you can use the talk radio to do this. So now you have a talk radio show. Do you film it or is it just audio?
It's both visual, it's video and audio, and it's all recorded.
Okay, so now can you take some of those videos and audios and break them down into a media page on your site that shows people that come and look? Like, hey, she's credible. Hey, she looks great. She's presentable. I'm not hiring some bum off the street to give a keynote. She has teeth. No, I'm just kidding. That was awful. But you know, what is it that you can put on your site, and where else can you put those videos that make you look credible? So you're on YouTube now, right? You have a YouTube channel.
Yes, and I'm on Talk Radio's YouTube channel, Spotify, Apple. They disseminate to all the good places.
Okay, so do you feel like you could maybe start a Rumble channel with a totally different off audience? Because Rumble is different, that has a different audience than YouTube. That might be a place where you could pick up new audiences and new speaking engagements.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Are you putting shorts together for social media so people can go, oh, I like what she has to say in less than a minute? Are you doing that?
I will be doing it. Yeah.
Okay, so those are steps to be taken. So
Mhm.
obviously, you're not going to do all those things at once because it would be overwhelming. So what would you take out of that first? I would say you have videos already. Let's go to the shorts and start putting them on social media.
Okay, I
And
can.
then, yeah, so maybe that's your goal for, let's say, January. February, let's get that Rumble channel started. So let's start promoting over there. Take your episodes, take your links. You're going to have to learn the tech for Rumble, right? It's a little bit different. It's actually easier. I think it's easier to use than YouTube. So, you know, what steps need to be taken to build that? Go over and explore Rumble. So that's what you're going to do the month of February. Do you have opt-ins for those? So where are you going to drive the traffic from these things? You have the assets that we created for you, the opt-in and the courses. So how can you get those out there? So those are the kinds of things you want to look at and then flow them over time so you don't get overwhelmed. You're new to tech. I know that because I've worked with you. So what are those tech things? Maybe the month of March is learning more tech in one of those particular areas. How can I send out my own emails? Do I need to learn to copyright to do that? So, you know, all of those things contribute to that bigger visibility piece that you'll need to get on those speaking, to be being a keynote. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
Does that
I
help
have to go-
anybody?
Yes, it
Okay.
does.
The reason I'm saying this is I had a client about 2 years ago that in the middle of helping them build their email list, they literally said, "Did you know we have a podcast?" And I'm like, "I had no idea. We've been working together for a month and I had no idea." I said, "Where can I find it?" "Well, we recorded the episodes, but then we didn't know what to do with them." So that's another area. If you want to start a YouTube channel, do you know how to optimize it? For those of you who don't have TubeBuddy, it's a must-have if you have a YouTube channel. If you're going to optimize it, then are you going to run the shorts? Where are we going to put those shorts to drive traffic to it? The same with the podcast. Am I going to hire a company and allow them to do a lot of the stuff for them like I do? Or are you somebody who's bootstrapping? So maybe you need to go to something like SoundCloud to get it started. Maybe you use the free SoundCloud for a while until you decide you want to do, that you're totally invested in this. Do you want to go from SoundCloud to maybe hiring someone that can get it out to all of the podcast platforms? By the way, if you decide to bootstrap, you're going to have to learn how to use SoundCloud. So there are a lot of different steps there that you're going to have to learn. And, that's why I said, don't be overwhelmed, flow it over time and give yourself the grace to make mistakes in it as well. Anybody else have something they want to do that they're not quite sure what the steps are that I can help with? Because that's what I want to do with those forms here today. Miko? Do you go by Miko or Shamiko? I always see you as Shamiko.
Mostly Miko, but I answer to both. It's just a shorter version of my name, but thank you for that. So for what is the big goal in my world, and I know mostly operations is kind of what I do, but I haven't done that in a while. We outsource for that in a production world, and I think you kind of know that TV film. So we've presented quite a few animations to some names, that are out here. And so my next thing is to actually build a TV series around similar to things like this. Like, how are we helping the community? How are we bringing it back to the basics? So you mentioned earlier about going back 20 years and where we're at with things. And what we're finding in the younger group, and I do have an audience of 30 and 40-year-olds, and I'm seasoned, so I'm up there. I'll just leave that there. I'm finding that they want more information, and they want it in a short version way of it. We become an Insta world, right? So 15 minutes, 30 minutes. We all know that most of our young entrepreneurs and our young business owners do not have the capacity to watch and actually take trainings that would be impactful for them in the future. So in that, we've been asked to kind of present the experts in these areas. And we've done quite a few documentaries. Some are being picked up by major things, but how do we bring that to the information of a shorter TV series? And here's where I'm going with this, Juliet. Most of these people want to and have either written books, or they want to write books, or they want to be a part of other things that are bigger than them. So that's my seasoned group of individuals. So I'm trying to merge these two worlds together with information. So what is the big goal? How do we teach our younger crowd? And I heard, and I just love her, Miss Carol, who's handing her business off to her younger group. And I've done that with one of, some individuals that I've mentored and coached that are like children to me as well in some business aspects. But what I'm finding is it's hard to get the information to merge between the two worlds. It's almost though they want to sit and listen, and they want us to give them Zooms and meetings and things like that. But it's almost like you just said earlier eloquently, how are they implementing it? And that's what I'm trying to find, that big goal, that gap in between. And we have the access to put it out to the world in the TV film, but how do we hone in on what is relevant to the younger crowd? And then more importantly, what is the seasoned individuals willing to teach them to bring that together? I don't know.
That's a great challenge.
I know, right?
So it is. So I just noticed from my own kids, 20 to 30, that you're right. They do want their instant gratification people. And as much as the older generation tries to change that, it probably isn't going to happen until they get older. It's a life experience thing. So I think what I'm hearing is maybe you need more market research on this. So maybe put together some online focus groups and invites. And do these people have audiences already? Are you building their audiences, Miko?
Well, it depends on which world. Of course, with my pro athletes and the celebrities, of course they have have. But on the other side of that, those that are teaching, absolutely not. So again, we're trying to merge the worlds together.
So maybe could you, in a space, and I know this is probably a big ask, could you connect some of your clients? Oh no, did she just disappear? Oh no. No, you're there. It sounded like somebody disappeared.
No, I think she got knocked out. Oh no, Miko's here. That was someone else. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear. So Miko, maybe, and this is just, I do this all the time through Power Partnership. Maybe ask one of your celebrity or, basketball, whatever the athlete is, you seem to be invested in this idea, and I have this scientist or educator over here. Would you be willing to lend your name to a focus group and invite people as somebody who they would show up for, and put it out there and ask us, have them ask questions. So use their audience to bring that younger panel in so that you can get the focus group. And I know it might be a big ask, but if your clients are like my clients, they're more than happy to help each other on that, and get the focus group together and start asking the questions you need. Would you prefer? So when we teach the book course that we're doing in January, we tell people, if you're an educator for continuing education, you have standards you have to follow. If you're someone like an author, coach, or speaker, every module needs to be under 20 minutes because people are busy and they'll sit for the 20. And if they're like me, they'll sit down and they'll take a course that's maybe 10 modules. It's 20 minutes a day.
Okay.
So find out if that's the model, like what model these people are telling you. And I think the hardest part of that for you is getting those people to the focus group.
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying, that's where your market research would come in. And I love that goal because these kids do need the education, but they're very busy.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Was that helpful? I mean, you're
was.
you're kind of at a higher, you're doing something that I
No, it
haven't.
was, and we have people. I mean, I just spoke to a retired globetrotter last night, and he's like, "Where do you want to use me?" And I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm like, "I don't know where to use you," but he has access to 1,800 other retired globetrotters and NBA players, and I'm going, what do I do with this group of guys? So, well, yeah, we'll figure that out. And a focus group sounds really great. I used to do those when I was in Chicago and Atlanta, and I think it's a great space. I hadn't thought about doing it in this world, but yeah, I feel like it would definitely help. And they love youth. They do a lot of youth programs. So I think that's why, their drive is my drive. I've been doing youth financial literacy for 30 years. So we love the youth. We're just trying to figure out how do we break through to how to get to these levels. They want to learn from us, but they don't have the capacity to sit. So what can we do to help them? And, putting it in a TV series or some short videos or even a training. It doesn't even have to be TV film. It could be, just in the regular training platform. But thank you for that. That actually gave me a bigger picture of what we could do with them. So I appreciate that.
And I think it'd be fun to have the Globetrotters, like your break. We're going to teach you some things. Bring yourself and bring your basketball. I'm going to teach you how to do a
They do that anyway. They do. That's part of them. You do it for 18 years. That's just, it's part of their DNA if you think about it. But
yeah. So you guys, I'm sorry, does everybody know what a focus group is, first of all? Yeah, everybody does. So what's funny, what I love now is we can do them online, because back when I was in advertising, we were the person that would be at the mall with a clipboard. Hey, can you come into the back room and look at this movie or this ad or whatever it is? And believe me, if you did that now, mall security would probably ask you to leave or arrest you. So you pretty much have to learn to do them online now. So okay, anybody else have something that is a big fill in the gaps that they have an idea they want to do, but they don't know what those gap things are? Because that's where it gets really dicey, is do I have all the pieces I need to put this together and make it successful? Everybody's good? Okay. All right. So the steps to organization on this is identify your goals on this worksheet, write them out, and then prioritize them and review them daily. So let's start there. Okay. Writing burns it in your brain. So be sure that you burn it in your brain, write out the project, write out what you think it will look like, write out what you think the outcome that you want is. What is that outcome? Okay, you can even take this a step further on this. I do this every once in a while when I feel really stuck. I will write myself a letter and say, dear Juliet, this is the outcome I want in 6 months, and this is what I would like to do. And make it like a thank you note. Thank you so much for taking me through these steps. Thank you so much. So really be grateful in this process as well. So it kind of helps you like where you want to be looking back in 6 months. So when I talk about the letter, that's my letter to myself in 6 months. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you for allowing me to meet the people that I needed to do to help this project. So you're kind of putting that intention out there in advance. And then identify the actions on there. What we just talked about with Miko, is that focus group a one-time only action, or is it repetitive? If I were Miko, I would try to do this 2 or 3 times, because of course, if you've ever done anything scientific, you don't just do it once. You have to be able to replicate the results. So if you have a focus group that says one thing and then another that says another thing, you're going to want to get 1 or 2 more in there to validate what's going on with you. And then alignment. Are you in alignment with who it needs to be, who you need to be to do it? This is so important, you guys. I know I keep saying it, but if you're someone that's writing, I want to make $250,000 a year this year, and you don't have a plan, chances are that's not going to materialize unless you win the lottery, which we don't have in Utah. So chances are I better do my homework, because the lottery's not coming. Okay. All right. Some questions to keep in mind during this process. This is really important. So the thing that you want to do, does it feel fun? How many of you have done something that doesn't feel fun and you don't execute because it just doesn't feel fun? Did everybody raise their hand with that? Yeah. So how many of you have read Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy? Just a couple of you. Excellent book. It's really about how to structure your day. And it's always take that thing that you hate the most, do it first thing in the morning, then it's done. And you'll find as you do that over and over and over, that thing that you hate becomes very familiar. And now it's not that thing you hate anymore. Because more than likely that thing you hate is because you don't do it enough on there. The second thing, whatever you've written down here, does it give you an opportunity to grow? Because if you're not growing your business, if you're not growing your relationships, if you're not growing any of that, you may have to come up with a different goal, because as business owners, we always want to grow our business. Is it aligned with your core values? I think I had, yeah. Okay. Is it aligned with your core values? If you're going out and you're knocking on doors every day as a real estate agent, this is for Trin. We just had a talk last week about how do you prospect, but you hate people, that's not going to be the avenue you want to build relationships with. So, you have to come up with something that is in alignment with your core values. I live in Utah, where a lot of people don't do business on Sunday. If that's your core audience, you're just doing business in Utah and you want to work Sundays, probably not going to be really well received. We're probably one of the few places where you won't see an open house on a Sunday because everybody's in church, or they're pretending they're in church. They do a lot of that too. So keep in mind, if you take a job, you have to work Sunday. Is that in your core values if you have to take appointments on Sunday? Does it move you towards your vision? How many shiny objects have gotten in our way? I mean, I know at the beginning, and this is really something that happens with people that are new to the business. They want that instant gratification, just like Miko was talking about, and they go after the shiny objects. The last time I went after a shiny object was when Periscope, which you guys are like, what is Periscope? Which is exactly the point. Periscope was the first video platform that X, formerly known as Twitter, rolled out several years ago. And it was alive. You got on live. And I remember getting on and I was so uncomfortable. But then the next day, somebody else got on, and it would auto prompt you. Anybody you were connected to that got on live. I watched these other real estate agents and mortgage brokers. One of them spoke with their hand. They knocked the camera over. Remember, it's live. They're under the desk. They're cussing. Oh, what happened to that? Where did the microphone go? Where did the phone go? And I thought, oh my God, I'm a rock star. But I still didn't want to do it. It just didn't feel like it was going to move me towards my vision. And the nice thing about that is it didn't stay. It was a shiny object that went away for the most part. Is the opportunity cost worth the gain? This is always big when you're evaluating, do you want to take a program to learn something or don't you? Back in 2016, I hired a coach that was $35,000 for the year. I hated her. I mean, I can't tell you how much I hated her. She used to tell me all these things because I'd say, the program doesn't seem to be working for me. Well, it's all you. You hate your clients. You hate this. The opportunity cost at that point was not worth the gain because I felt so icky about what was going on that I wasn't executing. I hired 2 more people to help me, and then it clicked. But I don't feel like that opportunity gain was worth the cost. So now if you try to get me in a coaching program, I'm going to have lots of questions. I'm going to want to talk to people who have worked with you before. So make sure that whatever you're investing in, that it's going to be worth the gain. You're going to get ROI from it. So I know it's hard to tell sometimes, and that's why we put on these workshops. Is everybody wants to do a book, but most of you are not going to get your ROI from the book. It's going to be, you're going to get it from something you do afterwards with the book. And is the energy expansive or constrictive? I just told you my 2016 experience was just so constrictive that after she told me that her program wasn't working because I don't like my clients, I talked to a couple of people and they're like, oh my God, you love on us. And I immediately stopped it. I quit her program. I was going to ask for my money back, but I didn't. I just moved on and everything opened up once I got out of that constrictive space. So it's really important for you to check your energy. Is it making you better or is it making you feel bad, which is reflecting in all of your other work? Does that make sense to everybody? Hopefully, yeah. Okay, good. Okay, so some of the things I want you to think about when you're filling out these worksheets, and I would love to see these worksheets when you're done. If you want to jump on my calendar, say, hey, Juliet, I'd love to send this to you. Can you give me a little bit of time? Let's go over it. You can jump on my calendar at chatwithjuliet.com. And if you're here today, I'm happy to help you with that. So when you're mapping out everything, don't just map out your business, map out everything. I use a program called Notion. I have all of my holidays marked off in there. I have all my time off. I content days are on Wednesdays. I don't take clients. Fridays, I usually play golf. I hate to admit that, but it's too cold to play golf today. That's why you're getting a workshop. But put all that in there because that really, you don't want to get in a situation where you're constantly telling your family, I can't do this, I have this. I can't do this, I have this. I used to do that as a real estate agent. I ended up divorced, which was a good thing, but that definitely contributed that my clients came first a lot of times. Birthdays, put yours down. Are you going to take a week and go to the Bahamas and celebrate? Or are you one of those people who has a birthday month? Lighten up your schedule that month. Make sure that you put that personal time in because if you don't have the time with loved ones and to recharge, none of this is going to work. When I was in real estate, one year I had a coach named Mike Ferry, and he was the guy who was, if you have money, life will be great. So it was all about the money. And when I coached with him that year, I made lots of money, but my life wasn't so great. I was depleted. I wasn't loving myself. It was charge, 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 charge. And that really hurt. The next year, I got in with his son, Tom Ferry, who's all about love what you do and the money will come. I was the #1 listing agent of 400 in the company. I had plenty of time off. I went to Hawaii. I took vacations. I did all the things that helped me recharge. I didn't answer my phone. So keep all of that in mind when you're putting this together, that you have to have those times for the things that really are important in life. I know your business is important, but without those recharges, business isn't going to happen if you're burnt out. And then after you've put those on, holidays and time off first, birthdays, you and loved ones, celebrations, family projects. I know our family does a project every year. We just finished it up. We do a lot down at Witch Fest. So I love Halloween. That's really just a fun thing for us. Then you start getting into what are the events I'm going to go to? What are my work hours? Do I need a day? Like I just told you, I take clients Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Wednesdays are content days. So I develop, I work on your projects, I do all of that kind of stuff. What are the conferences I want to go to? Obviously, conferences can be really exhausting, especially the older you get, because Carol knows we've been to CEO Space several times. I'm super tired when I get home. I've traveled all the way across the country. It's always in Florida. So I've been on a plane with a plane full of, kids crying and beating on me and throwing food. And then I get to Orlando and I'm in a hotel. I'm not in a place I can walk. I'm eating, restaurant food. I'm not working out. So figure out which ones you want to go to and which ones really that you can have fun at, because I don't consider that fun anymore. Speaking gigs, where can you get those where it'll be fun? You're with your friends. That is the one thing I loved about CEO Space was I was with my friends. It wasn't just all work, work, work. We had a blast in the off time too. Mostly making fun of the other people in CEO Space, but that's just us. And then content creation. When are you going to fit that in? Because that is your trust builder. You cannot sell a book without content creation. And if you come back and you tell me I don't have any content, I'm going to tell you, you just wrote a whole book. What do you mean you don't have content? So, be aware of that as you're going along and building your audience. But fit all of this in a way that makes you feel good about your balanced life. Most women know we're never going to get work-life balance. It just isn't, it's a myth. But we can get as close to it as we possibly can by really planning this out and working in an intentional way on it. Okay, so your forms. Here's what I want you to do with them. First of all, take out your yearly form and make a list of all your goals in no particular order. It doesn't have to be like, this is my top one and this is my second one. It doesn't have to be like that. So make that list. And then after you've made the list, pick the big, juicy thing first. What is the first thing you want to do? And then start breaking it out into the quarterly, the monthly, and if you need to, copy one of those and make it into a weekly. If you're someone who really needs to drill deep to get this done, do that. You'll notice on these worksheets, there are some color-coded categories on there. Be sure you pay attention to all of them, because most of the time where you guys get hung up is tech. You don't give yourself enough time for tech. So go back into those worksheets and decide what's a one-time project, what's a monthly project, and what tech do I need to set it up? Do I need to set the tech up first? Somebody just put in did somebody have a question? I saw the chat just went up. So
yeah, if you're using them in the Google Doc, do you need to make a copy yourself because that's a shared document and you'll be typing on everyone else's copy?
Yeah, definitely download all those, you guys. Yeah, if you want to discuss them with me, then you can send them to me, but you're going to be going over everyone's work. And I think those are actually PDFs I have in there. I don't think they're Google Docs, even though they're in a Google file. So look at that. What's a one-time project? So a one-time project for us, getting our podcast set up. And that was a lot of work when we did it because we didn't know how to get into Podetize. We didn't know what our branding was going to be. Those are all one-time projects. What are the monthly projects? We have a magazine we put out every month. So I have a schedule. When are things due? When do I get them to the designer? When do I get them back from the designer? When do I have it broken into PDFs for people to promote? When do I send out the promotional packages every month? So if it's something that's ongoing, set those monthly deadlines. If you're someone like with the magazine like me who has other people who are involved, get something like Notion where you can put together a worksheet of parameters. If you're a part of our magazine, you have a page inside of Notion that tells you 500 to 600 word article. These are the other people participating. Please reach out and become power partners. These are the deadlines. I had to learn to set better boundaries with the magazine because people wouldn't get their articles in on time. Now I have enough people that if someone can't make it for a month, it's no big deal. So work all of those out so they're very organized, and then color code the categories of what you need to do. And when you color code these, maybe it's the same project, but maybe the month of January, I'm going to learn the tech to set it up. I'm going to set up my MailChimp, or for me, the last 2 months, I'm going to set up Go High Level. Then I'm going to spend a half hour a day using Go High Level so that I am proficient at it. So you may have to do a little bit of time blocking. And if you're someone who doesn't time block, you might have to read Eat That Frog and do it first thing in the morning. So Brian Tracy should be paying me for this, huh? I think so. Okay, and then research and write out those tasks that need to be done. And that's where I'll invite you. If you don't know what the tasks are, jump on a call with me. Let's explore what it is. If I don't know, then we'll do the research together. A couple platforms that might be really helpful for you reaching or figuring out those tasks, perplexity.ai, which I know all of my clients are using that. I'm going to tell you what Perplexity will do for you. Dorothy, we put her book in there. We laid out her first course, or we laid out her social media. We laid out her first new course. It'll actually tell you if you go in and write it, you can upload your book without don't put the the copyright page in, because it won't give you any information if it thinks it's violating copyright. Put it in and say, give me an outline for a course, if a course is your goal, based on this book. And then, okay, module 1, tell me what to do for module 1. What are the key points I need to hit? Then you can go back in and decide from those key points, do I want to do a video? Do I need a workbook? I actually have written workbooks from there. Dorothy had a workbook that she wanted to use, or that she wanted to base her course on. We put it through. We created her own workbook from it and her own course schedule. And then she went off and recorded the things she needed to record. So, there are lists of things that you can do in there that you can at least start the process if you don't know the steps.
A question, Juliet.
Oh,
How
yes.
how do you actually put the book into Perplexity?
Okay, so what I do typically is once the book is set up, it has the copyright page in front. So I can't use that copy. So I will take normally, and Linda, if you need it, I probably have your original version. I will make the Word document that you give me for the formatter, and I will turn it into a raw PDF. You put the PDF in, you load it right into Perplexity. And I love Perplexity because it's fact-based. Unlike ChatGPT that has old information, Perplexity will actually give you the citation, so you can go check and make sure you're getting good information. If you remember a couple months back, was it Bard? It was whatever one Google was using that was giving inaccurate information. And I know I asked ChatGPT something this morning, and they told me that their most current information was October 2023. Like they couldn't find this person before then. So, that's why I like Perplexity better. So you put it in, it'll have a place, you attach the PDF, and then you ask the question. And then you can ask further questions from that question. So with Dorothy's, we put her book in. Let me go to you, Linda. We would put your book in and say, please give me a course outline. And then once you get the course outline, you go back in and said, based on this book, tell me what the key points are for module number 1. Because it'll actually say module 1 is XYZ, module 2 is ABC. And then go back and make it refine the research results. And then when you look in it, decide what's a workbook, what's a video, because you need both if you're going to put a course together. And then that's your assignment. That's your separate, monthly, the task that you're going to put down is, okay, in the month of January, I'm going to record these 4 videos for module 1. Or I'm going to record the entire course. So break it down however you feel is inside of your comfort zone. Does that make sense?
Yes, and you would have a paid subscription to Perplexity in order to be able to put the book in.
I think you do. I have a paid subscription. I have a paid to ChatGPT too, but I got to be honest. I'll tell you guys, I use several AI platforms. So Perplexity is when I need details from a book. So we're going to create something. I use ChatGPT more for marketing. And if you're going to use it for marketing, then you need to know the tone of your audience, because AI is garbage in, garbage out. So like me, I'm a smartass. So whenever I put marketing together, I'll run something through ChatGPT and I'll say, make it sassy. And then you have to look at it because sometimes it's too sassy. You will never hear me say, oh, slay. That's just not me, but you can get information and marketing out of it. So I have them separate. Opus, from what we were talking about with Miko, if she wanted to do those shorts, opus.pro, perfect. It's a paid subscription. You can take a full video and it will do the transcription. It will put together the shorts for you. You just have to program what you want. Do you want an actual short that's less than a minute that you can use on YouTube? Or do you want something that's more informational, maybe a 90-second video that you're putting on a landing page? But you can definitely program it to get the information you want. And what I love about Opus.Pro too is it grades. So it'll tell you, this one has a good hook, has good information, and then it'll tell you the ones that don't. So obviously you want to choose the ones that do. Any other questions on that?
I just wanted to say to Linda that I did sign up for Perplexity Pro, and because it does so many things, I love that program. I said it'll take your anything that you've got within your book, and like Juliet says, just ask it questions and it'll pump them out for you.
Yeah.
Did you have any difficulty signing up? Because I tried to sign up online on my computer rather than my phone, and it failed to upload to create a relationship with me. Was it
Oh,
easy for you, Dorothy?
yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
didn't have any problems.
Yeah, you just sign up. Linda, remind me when we get off, I'll send you a link because I have an affiliate link. That is very strange that it did that. And by the way, I get notices all the time because I'm a big Perplexity user that they're coming up with ways to pay you for your content over there. So you might keep your eyes open for that. That might be a possibility to make a little extra money on the side. Every revenue stream helps. That's why I use Rumble as well, because Rumble pays clicks. It's not like YouTube where you have to have a certain number of followers and they have to watch so many hours. It's not much money, but every little bit helps when you have a business
Yeah.
together. And, I can actually say, oh, I made $5 last month and I made $10 the month before. What's the difference? What was the difference in the content? Because I want to replicate what's doing really well as well. So Perplexity is the best. We have used it. I'll just give you an idea if you have some big juicy goals this year. We have run books through and gotten quizzes. So it will actually write you a quiz if you put your book in and say, write me a 10-question multiple choice quiz. It'll put it right in there. Tell me, what else do we use it for? Some of you guys took my AI class. Tell me what you used it for. Andy, what did you use it for? Is he still there?
Andy had to leave. He
Oh,
wrote in
no.
the chat.
Okay, Amanda, what did you use it for? I know you were in my AI class.
Which platform are you asking about again?
Perplexity.
Perplexity? Oh, she's my babe. That's Lexi in my world. I use both ChatGPT and Perplexity. I'm using the free versions. Perplexity, I utilize a lot for giving me outline. I mean, I did the 30-day blog challenge with that. I've created bios and revised bios for specific events or things like that. I've done funnel development. I had written a funnel and I took all of the emails and everything for the funnel and put it back into I use Perplexity a lot to evaluate what I've already written. So I take my content and what things that I put together, and then I ask for where am I missing opportunities to introduce, like which email do you put in your website and where you direct them, how you nurture them slowly along in that, and to make sure that it's engageable and that. So I use a lot for the funnel stuff. I've used it for looking at recommendations for my accounting software. I've looked for headsets and microphones. I've used it for a lot of different things. I've written some pretty amazing letters of, like, when I've resigned from different committee positions. I write down all the mean and nasty things that I think about them, and then I put it in there to clean it up and to leave it powerful but not shitty. So
okay.
And then my favorite one was using it to write the letter to the college admissions to refigure my daughter's financial aid. And she got her aid back.
Oh, good, good. So I'll tell you what we use it for as well is we'll actually put an episode, the blog from an episode of the podcast, we'll put it in Perplexity. We'll ask it to write social media posts. We'll actually ask it to write the email, and then we'll take the emails and the social media posts and we'll put them back through GPT and said, make them sassy. So we kind of use it all in conjunction. We also use the transcription from Opus into ChatGPT. So you can use them all to streamline as well. That used to take us like 2 hours to do that with the podcast. It takes me about 15 minutes now. And
I'll throw in the prompt that I use, because I take the transcript from my videos to write that YouTube description and to create the timestamps for my YouTube content as well. And you can use Perplexity to generate a better prompt than what I had.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I probably should wrap this up because I'm into 90 minutes now. Okay, so that was your yearly, your quarterly, same thing. Now you're going to put all those ideas now, you're going to flow them into the quarter. This is where I want you to take some great ideas that you're not ready for. If you barf them out in that process where you were doing the journaling, I want you to put them at the bottom of the worksheet because those are great ideas that you can come back to later. You may not be quite ready, but it's a good idea. So don't just how many of you met Big Magic? Is it Big Magic? The book where it says if you don't execute an idea, the idea will go to the next person who will. So don't let go of those great ideas because they'll go to someone else. You'd hate to be that person going, I had an idea for Meta. I could have developed Facebook and I didn't. So you don't want to be that. It'll also help you work more efficiently and start to attract the audience. You need audience, the support for the audience, and then evaluate what you're doing to make sure the audience is paying attention. Okay, so all of this fits together. I want you guys to know that it's going to be a process. And remember that the organization and action leads to success. So what you do once you get this all done, and again, I invite you to run it by me if you got some missing steps, a half hour a day, blocking off the half hour a day to build your platform. Flying by the seat of your pants doesn't work. Words on paper won't make it happen. And if you really want to be successful at this, you need a plan. You can't just play around and pretend. So fill out your report, all of those forms, put them away for a day or two, and then revisit. Because once you get your brain working on what you're doing, you're going to come up with other ideas, other executions, other implementations, and then go back with fresh eyes and review it again, because you may come up with some different ideas on it. Okay, really quickly, I went through this at the beginning. Next month is Gina Husser, and she's going to do Branding Secrets Unveiled, How to Think Like a Big Brand. She is amazing. She wrote everything that's on the site that's being revamped right now. Also, the book panel next month, you can register at bookdevelopmentexperts.com. And we have a holiday bundle. I forgot about this, that I put this on here. We have a holiday bundle. I'm offering it to you guys right now if you want to go over, but we're not going to start promoting till right before Thanksgiving. We have our AI platform building class for authors, social media hacks for authors, email marketing, understanding funnels, content development, and building your author avatar. Just through the holidays from now until the end of the year, we're offering that bundle for $9.97, and usually it would be about $3,000 to buy each of those a la carte. So you can go find those at authorbuzzbuilders.com if you guys are interested. Any questions, concerns? You hated this? What's going on? What are you guys thinking right now?
It was good, and I'm glad I popped in. And I also need the link to the documents because I couldn't find it. So.
Oh, okay. I will.
The link to the document worked earlier. I could get to the drive, and now there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Really?
It's gone. Yeah. It shows that it's shared, but there are no documents there.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So
Because I had it open earlier, and yeah.
Yeah, I can see. I just went in. They're all gone. I'm gonna have to find out where they are. What the heck happened? They were there earlier. I looked. I downloaded one. Okay.
Juliet, I'd like the affiliate link for Perplexity.
Okay, let me make notes here what I need for everybody. Linda, Perplexity. Who here didn't get the forms? You know what? Just right.
I downloaded a few of them but I can't see them either.
Oh, that is so weird. Okay, do this for me because I'll go through the chat. Drop your email. I have your emails. If you all signed up, I have your emails. So if you don't think I do, drop it in the chat and I will reach out and give you the box separately. I'm so sorry. It was there before we started. I wonder.
It certainly was.
Disappear. Okay, sorry about that. What a weird glitch to have.
Miko did make a good tip in the thing, all the different services and links that you were telling people about as you were talking, if you can remember those key pieces,
Okay.
add that to the email.
Okay, I will write all of you one big email with links and all that stuff. How's that?
Love it. Thank
Right.
you.
And especially if you have affiliates, we'd love to support
Yes.
that part of it. That was my main thing, was if you had a short list with the links that you were talking about, more with your affiliates, because we can go find them in Google search. However, if you have an affiliate, the goal, I feel, is to support you through the process. And
Right.
you mentioned affiliate a few times, so that was the main reason I said, do you have a list of the ones that you're mentioning that would go to your affiliate link so that we could support you through this process? I felt like it was really great information today for someone like me who is downloaded. I'm a life learner of a lot of information with a lot of things. It helped me to kind of bring it home, is what I always like to call it in my world, back to my own thought process, and then going through what you mentioned earlier. The other part is, so I heard, Carol, I'll be near you very soon, by the way. I'm leaving LA and I'm coming back to Chicagoland. So I'll be near you. And Juliet, there's a young lady I want to connect you with in Utah. So let's make sure that I get that information over to you, a new client of mine I think that you would love.
Okay.
For me, I do have to hop off because I have a couple of business meetings, but this was very powerful. And just like Miss Carol, I jumped in to just, it popped up on the band and I said, okay, great. And I've always wanted to kind of reconnect with you. And I just need about 3 more weeks to get settled into my new space from LA to Chicagoland. And I will definitely be on your books here towards the end of the year, the beginning of the year, for some great things that we have coming in 2025. So it was amazing meeting and listening to the stories today, and definitely want to give support to all of those that are out here moving through the holidays. And it was very powerful for me today. You kept my attention, and that's very hard to do with Miko.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I just want to tell you guys, the affiliate links, I am not an affiliate link pusher. Everything I give you guys, I personally use myself. That's why I'm endorsing it. So, all right. Thank you. And then one last closing thing. If you would like to share or you want to do something that you're missing the steps, chat with Juliet.com. Go get on the calendar, and then there's a place in there to attach your worksheets. Go ahead and attach them, and I'll be ready for the meeting. Tell me what your question is. So thank you guys. I know this went a little longer, but hopefully it was worth it.
It was.
Lots of very good information, solid information, Juliet.
Yes.
Thank
All
you.
right. I will get the emails out probably within the next hour to you guys. So thank you.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye-bye.